All right, we live, man.
Hmm.
Anyway, you never told me what you actually do, like
What
nine to
I
five type
do.
stuff.
So that's very interesting. I am a jack of too many trades.
I believe that.
So
I believe
yeah.
that for you.
So what I do now, I actually work for an
You never
insurance
told me
company,
what you actually do. So, yep,
and
yep. Mhm.
what I do now, I actually
Shh,
work for.
why you go ahead?
Yeah, I was like, wait, is that me? I wasn't sure.
Because you
So
know me, I go on and I just start spamming people in the.
yeah, I'm actually about to do the same thing. Right after I finish this little spiel, yeah, I'm spamming. I
Go
just
for
wasn't sure if my camera was going because I'm gonna do it all from the same device. So I was like, you know what? Let me, I'm get my spam on in a second. But I am. I work for an insurance company. I'm an auto damage adjuster. So like when people get into car accidents and stuff like that, I'm the guy that comes out, inspect your car, and tell you like what the insurance company is gonna pay, what they
it.
not gonna pay, what they gonna cover, what they not gonna cover, how we know you lying, and that bumper didn't just get hit, and no, a deer didn't hit your car and it got paint on it. Like, yeah, I'm that guy. So
Hmm.
that's what I
Got
do.
it.
9 to 5 wise.
And then you still got the podcast going.
Yes, yes. So the A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. Season 3 actually started in October.
Ooh, season
Um,
three.
Unfortunately, my dad passed 2 weeks after it started.
Oof.
So
Sorry.
that really derailed everything. It took my world just by storm. I didn't know what to do, how to, I'm still putting together the pieces now.
Yeah.
And it just abruptly stopped. Like I didn't know how to do it. I didn't, how to continue doing it, how to sleep, how to eat, like,
Mm.
that sort of thing. So I've been talking with like my core team. We've been really just be revisiting dates and stuff like that. And as of right now, our tentative start date is the 24th of this month. So season 3 will resume the 24th of this month. So that's exciting. So I can't wait for that. And I know my co-host can't wait for that because he's been getting on me like, yo, bro,
He's
what
like,
you got
let's
going on?
go, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be this month on the 24th on Tuesday. So, and I might change the day because sometimes I feel like even though we're at different times, I
Mm.
always like your episodes are like really good. Like like when you're doing a series or something like that, and I'm watching it, it's like I got to go live, but Jermaine's still on, so I don't know. So I might have to change the day because I need to stay in tune.
I appreciate. Listen, you have been number one follower, man. I'd be like, where Trey at? Because if Trey don't come in here, it ain't an episode. Like, where he at in the comments, man? I appreciate your support. Like,
Ah, come on, I got to drop in, and I'm finna spam these people. We finna get some support because. Yeah, I ain't finna say y'all like me for play. We y'all gonna like me for real, for real.
that is a goal. Uh, oh no, you went blank.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that for a minute, but I'm here, y'all. I'm just spamming. Let me get my spam on real quick.
He's like, I'm throwing all y'all.
It's a few
Come
people I need
join.
to be here. I need for y'all to be in the room.
Please do, because this topic right here, man, fatherhood. I
I'm
said,
trying
oh
to tell you,
yes. I
this is
mean, like
something
I've
different.
had fathers on, but they're all girl dads, right? So all of them have
Mm,
girls, and I'm like, I need a man that's raising a boy, a young
right,
black prince with it.
right. I'm trying to tell you, and for me, fatherhood is really one of my cornerstones. Like it's like of who I am. I really take pride in being a dad. So when we talked about this, and even when we kind of like reviewed possible topics, and we were talking about just like what could it be, and when we were going over the questions, I was like, yeah, like this is it right here. Like this is what I want to talk about or what needs to be talked about
Yeah,
because I think too many times, especially with black men, and I don't want to make it a black or other race kind of thing, but we get that stigma. Like we hear that a lot. Like black men are not where they need to be as far as taking care of their children.
yeah,
But we're seeing now. Like it's different. Like there's an influx of fathers that are taking care of their children, and I'm just happy that today I can be that face. Like we're really out here doing this. We're not all just doing what I guess what people would say what they want to do, and not
Yeah.
taking care of their responsibility. Like people are out here taking care of their responsibility. We holding it down for the set, and raising these black men. We getting
Yeah.
it together. All right, I'm almost done spamming. Y'all give me 2 more seconds because I'm spamming everywhere. When I say
You
everywhere, I
got
mean,
to. Everyone who's watching better be spamming somebody. Like, hey,
you feel me?
join in, because
Because y'all don't want to miss this. Like, and I
Mhm.
look at it like this. If we really being honest, like y'all will watch a fight video, watch this. Or even if you don't watch it, share it. Somebody might want to see it. Somebody might want to talk about, daddies and stuff. Y'all watch jokes and stuff like that. Let's get it on. All right, I'm back. Back like I never left. Back like
Right.
I never left.
So we got to do this introduction because it's about that time for these intros. So first and foremost, thank y'all for coming back. This is week 6. This is episode 6, and we're doing something big today. Okay. So the person that is with me, Traquan, I think he's part of the reason why I kind of started doing these lives, because our mutual friend Stephanie connected us, and we did an episode like 2 days after my birthday, like 2 years ago, was it? And I was like, oh wait, maybe I can do this now. I was nervous, but Traquan's podcast of Better Me equals a Better We, which we will talk about. I was like, oh, okay, we can do this. All right. So, I asked him, I was like, so Traquan, what do you do for a living? Like, what's your 9 to 5? And he's like, I ain't got a 9 to 5. I do a little bit of everything. So he's a father, as you
Yes.
guys probably know. He is a podcast host of a Better Me and Better We. He does car insurance fraud things, inspections. He does a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nonetheless, one of the major things that Traquan does is he shows up as a black man raising a young black prince. Okay,
This is
so
so bad.
without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, even though it just says Trey, his full name,
Yeah. Yes.
Trey Quan. Welcome.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be here. And I always leave Trey because for some reason, when people see Traquan, I love my parents to death, but for some reason, they didn't want to put a Y in my name. So even though I say Traquan, when they see the TRA, it just makes them say try. So I was like, you know what? Let me just not even confuse the brain with what I'm saying. And I just put Trey. Let's just make it simple.
Trust me, I get it, because how my mother came up with Jamae, I had no idea. No idea. So, anyways, let's get right into it. So, since I already introduced the podcast, A Better Me, A Better We, what is that? Can you explain what the inspiration was with it? Like, is there mental health in there, sprinkled in there somewhere?
So it's actually a little bit of everything. So what happened was during the pandemic, um, I saw a lot of people gain weight like I did. I gained probably like maybe 40 pounds. At some point, I'm
Mm,
5'10", 5'11" on a good day. And I gained weight. I was 235, so that was pretty big for my height.
mm,
And I would see people say things like, "Yo, I need to lose weight," or you would have people say things like, "Yo, I need to get off of Amazon. Amazon is killing me right now. I spent so much money on Amazon because we couldn't go to stores."
mm,
So many people were talking about the way that they were spending their money, and just a bunch of different things like not being able to get together and stuff. People were bumping heads in their home, like with their relationships. So you would see like memes like that, like when y'all stuck in the house together, because y'all, my boss calling me. Yes, baby.
this is real, y'all. This is
Yes,
live.
my boss is calling me. Um, so I saw all of this stuff and I was just like, you know what? People need this information. But I knew a personal trainer. I knew people who help people with credit. I knew a successful married couple. And I was like, wow, like if only these people that were saying this knew this, like if they knew
Mhm.
these people. So the idea was that if each of us could teach each other what we know, right, and being vulnerable enough to say, well, I don't have this, but you have this. I don't have this, but you have this. And that's where the mantra or the mission statement came from. Like, in order for us to grow, each individual has to be strengthened and grow. So that was the idea behind that. And it started with just a conference, and I decided to make it a podcast. Like, you know what, the conference went so well. I said, you know what, let's do this every week and just introduce a bunch of people to each other. And I want to hear what y'all got to say. And then it went from learning from the panelists to like the engagement in the comments being so big that it was like, wait, like I'm learning even from reading the comments after the episodes or during the episode. So yeah, that was the idea behind that, and it's been growing ever since.
Mhm. He is calling you. He said,
Yes,
"Sir."
I was just gonna say I might have a co-guest right now. Let's see how this goes, y'all. Y'all gonna see fatherhood at its finest. Fatherhood
Fatherhood
at
in real life. Real life, anyway. How are y'all doing? Thanks for coming in. If you guys, again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Okay. Comment, comment, comment. If you have questions that you want me to cover, because you all know I come with questions. But if there's anything specific you want me to highlight, anything specific you want to ask Traquan, feel free to throw it in there. Um, you know, because we're gonna do this. We're gonna talk about fatherhood, and hopefully his son will cooperate so that,
yes,
so
big
that we
hopefully.
can do this
Heavy on the
in a
cooperation.
timely manner, even though there's no rush, because these episodes seem to be going on for longer than what I envisioned. There he is. He is here
All right,
for it.
here we go. Say hi.
Hi.
All
He's
right,
like,
don't
can I
touch
jump
it.
to the phone?
All right.
Hi. He's a superstar already. You can see it in his
Yeah,
face.
he's built for this. Yeah, your tablet. Hey, you want to sit here? No? Okay. I bet
He's
you're
like,
rocking out
on
with
your
me.
lap, Dad.
Right.
On your lap.
I'm trying to tell you, he's the boss. I keep telling everybody, this my boss right here. But I wouldn't have it no other way.
That's good stuff. So, I mean, you kind of alluded to this before, but I don't know how many people were watching. But you
I'm
know,
right here,
I
baby.
I throw out the option. Hi, I throw out the option for the men that are coming on the lives to be like, so what is it that you want to talk about? And you was like, men raising men. And I said,
Right.
"Ooh, that's good." So, what made you choose that topic specifically?
Um, I chose this topic because I just felt like it was one of those things that you really don't. The society, the media, what we see on social media says that this doesn't exist.
Mm,
And then even in our culture, like a lot of times when you hearing the baby daddy, baby mama is, oh well, he don't do this, he ain't never here, he don't this, like as if this doesn't exist.
right,
Now I do just want to say loud and clear that does not mean his mom does not exist, right? That does
mhm,
not mean the other, like it's the mother doesn't have to be dead, absent, strung out on drugs in order for this to be possible, right?
right,
And
right.
outside of that, this may ruffle a little bit of feathers, but I know, Jermaine, I know you're here for it.
I'm here for it
Um,
all.
I'm not I'm not one of the believers that women can be men. I'm not one of the believers that when men are not around or not present in their kids' life, that women can say, I'm your mother and your father. And,
Mm,
I understand what you're trying to say in the sense that you're going to do what you need to do for your child and fill every gap that you possibly can. But
yeah,
I'm sorry, there's just some things that we bring to the table that you like you just can't be. You can't be a father. Like you can do the best that you can and the best, but you'll never know what it's like to be a man. You'll never go through the same things that we go through. There are certain things that you just won't be able to talk your son through,
right,
and vice versa.
right.
especially in his younger years now, I definitely see the importance of his mother. Like there are things, nurturing ways, just things that come with being a mother. Like that, as a father, as a man, I will never understand. Like I will never understand why, you thought it was okay to maybe hug him at this time or this place, or do, where I might be like, nah, brush it off. The world not going to treat you like that. Get tough. And you may see something different as a woman and say, listen, this is what he needs at this time, and that may actually be what he needs. So that was my thought process behind it, just kind of talking about the importance of us, and actually saying, like, I understand a lot of men are absent, and a lot of women have to fill in the blanks. But no matter, I always think about that scene in Drumline when Nick Cannon cut his hair, and the dude was like, "You can look like me, but you ain't never gonna play like me." Like
Yeah.
it's the same thing with fathers. Like, you can play the father role, but you're never gonna be a father, and vice versa. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
That was good. And you started to talk about it. We're definitely going to circle back into the stigmas, because these stigmas, they say words can kill. I think we realize words can,
Yeah.
because the words that are spoken over men, the words that are spoken over people of color, it
Right.
really like makes us feel like we can't achieve anything. And if
Hmm.
these stigmas do exist, we have to like, we're working, as they would say, behind the eight ball, or trying to swim upstream. Like we are fighting just to
Hmm.
have a place, and
Right.
to occupy spaces that maybe we didn't have. Because truth be told, some men don't have their fathers around. So when it comes to fatherhood and when it comes to manhood, they're like,
Right.
I ain't never seen this before, so I
Yeah.
don't know how to do it. So I have a really good question, and I hope you're ready to answer it.
I can't wait.
Why are Black fathers important?
Why are black fathers important?
Mhm.
Um, because we're different. Um, we're different in the sense of what we bring to the table, what we have to go through. I heard a quote recently, and it was a woman that said, "Why is it that men always? Why does it seem like men, or most men, always have the answer to everything?" And I do just want to say, women, we don't have the answer to everything, but a answer. It may not be the answer, but a answer.
Mhm.
And the woman said, it's because we go through things, and we have to figure things out. In a lot of cases, there are different support, for different people, and it's not just a man thing. Even for, and we're just being honest, even other races, right? There's support in different ways for other people. But when we look at black men, as a whole, we kind of get the short end of the stick. Well, not even kind of, we get the short end of the stick in a lot of different ways. With that comes a lot of experience. With that comes a lot of wisdom. Going through a lot of things will heighten the learning curve for you. So that's why being a black father, being present, is a high commodity. Like, it's one of those things where you don't realize how much it brings until you actually have it. And I can say that I was fortunate enough to have it.
Mhm.
Um, it was rocky. It didn't look like, Family Matters. It didn't look like The Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Like, um, it was rocky. It looked, like you said, my dad didn't. Can I get a second? Can I get a little second, please? Yes. Can you watch Paw Patrol? Yes, you can.
It's the toes for me. He done wrapped his little foot in
Right.
like,
You see him, like, and at this point, he just like, yeah. So you think you about to answer all these questions, and I'm just not with it. But when I knew, when I knew that he was gonna be present, I said, if he does decide to be a part of the episode, I do think this would be great, because this is a part of it, right? This is what it comes with, and oh, Good Times too. I'm sorry, it didn't look like Good Times either. Um, and my dad, like, he was very honest. Like, there's an episode, that I did, on the podcast, that was, I'm a father, but I grew up without a father, and I had my dad present during that, because he was very vocal about the fact that he didn't have a blueprint. Like, he was doing the best that he could. He thought that fatherhood was just giving money, at one point. So early on, the first half of my life, I would say I didn't have a relationship with my dad, like a real working relationship. I saw him every day. I knew that he paid all the bills. I knew that if I wanted something, I asked my mother. I knew where it was coming from, but I didn't have a working relationship with him. And that's because he didn't know how to have a relationship with me because he had never experienced that relationship. But with that, once I was able to foster a relationship and later on in life, we kind of got that, situated. And then he became my best friend. It heightened the bar because I saw so many great things that he did, and now having that relationship, it made me realize how important I am to my son now, and why I take fatherhood so serious. Because I've seen people that don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people that like what they do, their ideologies, what they think in the world, just not having that man present, in just a lot of different ways. Like so, yeah.
Yeah. So as a father, like what are you trying to raise, or what morals, values are you trying to place in your son so that he can be an outstanding young black king one day?
So for me, I want to raise a free thinker. Um, I don't want to program him per se.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I always tell people I really love reading theology books because. Excuse me, sir. Can I get some space? Just a little bit. Let's turn that this way. Come on, this way. Yeah, yeah. Put the head this way, the feet this way. Okay. So I really love reading theology books because not only do they speak towards what you may believe, but it also challenges you by letting you know what other people who may be in a similar faith believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to do with my son. Like just present him with a bunch of different options. Like this is an option in sports, being a doctor, being a lawyer. Being an artist, being whatever it is that he shows interest in. I always make this joke with my friends, like if my son want to be a professional Ninja Turtle, like I'm fine in the classes, like, and that's just my thing. Like my thing with him is just to pay as much attention to him as possible to see what he leans into and to try to nurture that. Yvonne Shumpert said something interesting in an interview. He said, too many times you'll see your kid, let's say with a camera, and we'll instead of teaching them how to use the camera, we're like, put that down, don't you touch that, like you're gonna break it. And it's like, yo, why you don't show them how to use it?
Mm-hmm.
What if he got the eye you never had? Like, what if they could do something special with that? So that's just my biggest thing with him. Teaching him respect. Obviously he doesn't respect me much at this point.
Karate
but
chopped you in the neck.
right. But teaching him respect, to respect the people around him, and then ultimately, whatever it is that he wants to do,
Mm-hmm.
just supporting him in that, and not just him, because I do have an older son, as well. So even with my older son, like just whatever it is that they want to do, and I feel bad for my older son. I haven't told him this recently, but if he ever sees this, he's probably gonna. I don't know if he'll find it funny, but he was my learning curve, right? Like I was
Mm-hmm.
when he was younger, I was a lot harder on him, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn, like, bro, you're being your dad, like, but the part of your dad that you didn't like. Um, and now, like, my biggest thing with him is like, all right, let me love on you. What do you want to do? Um, I play basketball. I train people to play basketball. And my son likes soccer. Like my oldest son, he likes soccer. So I got to find soccer programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
He likes fencing. He wants to do sword fighting and stuff like that. So fencing class starts in a week. So I got to sign him up for fencing. That's not something I would ever do, but that's my goal is just to nurture everything that they want to do. So whatever it is that they choose to do in society, they'll be great at it because it's a place for them. They just have to find that place. So just helping them find that.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful because like Stacy said, like we have to be progressive in our approaches to a lot of things these days. Like he's like biting your ear because the problem is that we have men who are going out into this world without that strong male role model that's present in the home. And here's
Right,
another thing we have to talk about, okay?
right, right.
Because showing up isn't just I'm gonna shoot you a text or
Oh, come
I'm
on now.
pop in, I'm gonna pop out. Like
Let's do it.
showing up is more than just physically showing up. How do we, or not even we, we don't talk to y'all men. Talk to the men, sir. How can men show up not just as a dad, but as a father? Because there is a difference between the two. So showing up, whether you are a girl dad, whether you are a father of some boys, how do you show up? Because we really need to talk about this.
So this is something I actually just learned, and I'm still evolving and learning in. And like you said, I've even been so it's not just popping up from time to time, and I've even learned it's not even just being in the room. So like right now, this is funny and cute, like for anyone that's watching, like him jumping around and playing and stuff like this. But right now, this is not being present, right? Like he's playing with me, I'm not playing with him. Like
Yeah.
this is not being present. But so many people would think like I'm around my kid, I go pick my kid up, like they were here for a week. Or
Aw.
let's not even talk about the people where I pick my kid up, they're at my house for a week, but they was at my mother's house 5 days out of the 7 days. So I didn't even see them. I just pawned them off to somebody else.
Mm.
So for me, I learned that, and again, with my oldest, I'm learning so much. He likes video games. Video games have never been my thing. Like I don't know why. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Now I play. So I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, this is what you like. This is what we're gonna play. And I realized that not just sitting there, but what do you like to do? Let's talk. Let's converse. Let's have a conversation.
Mhm.
I asked my son about his day at school today, and he said to me, "Can I have a second? I feel like you're like overpowering my voice right now. Just a moment, though. Can I have just a moment? Okay, thank you. I'll see you in just a moment. Okay. I asked my son. I said, how was your day today at school? And we talked about it, and he told me about an incident that he had with one of the kids, and you hurt your foot. Are you okay, or you need me to look at it? Can I see it? Okay. Um, so he told me about an incident he had with a kid at school, and just some concerns that he had about his teacher, and he felt like his teacher didn't like him. And for me, I don't really fall into the teacher don't like me, because I think we all said that as kids whole time. Like I sleep in his class, I never do his homework.
Nope.
Um,
No idea.
so right, hello. So the teacher didn't like me thing, I really don't fall into, but I really wanted to talk to him and see, like, how he felt about that. And I really just listened to his concerns. Like, I told him, what I thought it could be, and ways that I thought he could improve, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like we spoke, and he said to me, he said, "Wow, like I really feel like we having a therapy session right now." Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry, you cannot have my phone right now. Can we get over this? Thank you. And he said, I feel like we're at a therapy session right now, and I laughed and I said, that's what I'm here for. If you feel like you want to talk about something, if you feel like you want to, let something off your chest, even if let's say you just want to vent, like, come to me and say, hey, I just want to talk, like and I think too many times, like we take for granted the fact that what they're experiencing is a lot to them, right? We experienced it already. Like we're adults. We understand that adult life is no joke. I wish I can go back to doing what you're doing, living carefree. But in your mind and your vantage point, this is real. Like your
Yeah.
teacher not liking you is real. Like
Mhm.
your friends or people saying they don't want to be your friend, and like this is real. Like, and it feels real. And we have to be there for them, emotionally, and not just physically. And I think when we're able to connect with them and build that connection, like how we do at work for other people's company, and we work on building connections with people. I think if we do that with our children, that's how we really can start to actually be present.
Mhm.
Yeah, what's up?
I like what you said though. It's not just about physically being in the building. It's not just about being in the same vicinity. It's about how you guys are interacting. What are
Yeah,
you guys talking about? What morals and values are you instilling in your child? That's so important. And then, of course, this is a mental health podcasty
mm-hmm.
thing that we're doing here. You mentioned something about like going to therapy. Now, they obviously hear about me always promoting mental health and therapy because
Yeah.
I'm a counselor, right? But do you think going to therapy can help a man become a stronger man first and then father second?
Yes, yes, I do agree on that. And there's a lot of different reasons why, especially this generation of men.
Mhm.
Um, we were we got a mix of like Left for Dead,
Mm.
with a little bit of like Don't Be a Little Girl.
Mm.
So there were a lot of, I think there were a lot of instances, and we're seeing this a lot more where our parents, and I'm sorry to whatever generation that is, but I'm just gonna put y'all on Front Street. Um, y'all were so excited to actually be the adults that y'all forgot what being the adults entailed. So y'all like
Mm. Yes,
y'all
sir. Yeah.
y'all
Yeah.
still talk about Big Mama and what Papa used to do, and not realizing that you're Big Mama now. Like you didn't realize like that you were transitioning. So while you were saying, "Oh, this person used to do this, and I could have never did this, and I would have never been able to do that," that was for you to now do that with me. But there were certain things that in our generation, like we were just kind of just left with. We saw an influx in families not being together. So like while there were always fathers that were, unfortunately to say, there were always a number of fathers that weren't in the home or left the homes. But when we look at divorce rates, right? Divorce rates, marriage rates. We're talking about black people. Like if we look at the percentages, like our women are the least married percentage wise. Like we're the least married out of all other places, and I just feel like it had a lot to do with people just, I guess, wanting to be free. Like I don't know what to call it. And then nowadays, with the way that society is, I tell my friends all the time, the most important thing that we have to protect is our mind. We're constantly being desensitized to different things, and they're becoming the new normal, and it's not okay.
Mhm.
So I think as men, we need that outlet, especially with this feminist movement on the rise, this aggression. I'm all for women empowerment. I'm against anything that breaks up family, right? So
Mhm.
so when I talk about feminism, I'm
Right.
talking specifically about I don't need a man. I don't need like nah. I'm sorry. Like yes, you do need a man. I'm sorry, and yes, I do need a woman. We were created for each other. Like anything
Yeah.
against that is, but it's being spoken so much that it's almost like if you don't agree with it, like something's wrong with you. Sir, just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Okay? Yes, I just need a second. Can I get a second? Okay, just sit down. For just one moment. Thank you. Yes. All right, how about you go get your car for me? Can you go get your car for me? Go get the blue car, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, nice doing business with you. The blue car, it's in the room. Yes. Get the blue and the red one. The blue and the red car. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, go get it. Go get it, bro. You got it. And the red one too.
Parenting, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, send him on a mission. He halfway on the mission, but he see I'm still engaging somewhere else. So he's like, yeah, this don't really look like a mission I want to be a part of. So let me just make sure that we're on the same page. But all in all, we go through enough as it is.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think that, yeah, we do need that. We do need that that space to be able to talk. And we've been tricked into talking about our feelings with the wrong women, right? Not with women in general, but with the wrong women that have
Talk.
now used our feelings to weaponize us, right? So
Mm,
therapy would be the best option for us because it's a safe space. Because if this person tell your business, you can get paid for it. So might as well go, might as well go to a safe space. Um, because the better you are, the better you can be for the people around you. So yeah, therapy is key.
did I forget to mention that this man before us is a minister as well? Because my hands and my feet
No.
started to get a little excited because he was saying a lot of great things that, like, if I could go back to a lot of it, I would. But
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless, when he that last part was enough. Like when you said we talking to the wrong women, sir,
I
speak.
mean,
Anyways, honestly, I think that's the toughest part. So last week when Darren was talking, Darren mentioned the same something very similar. Like we have to be careful who we're getting all of this information and this knowledge and this how to from. Because
mm-hmm.
truth be told, some of us are like the blind leading the blind. It's like I, I don't know what parenthood looks like, but let me help you out. Let me give you little jewels. You're like, that
Hello.
doesn't even make sense. Like I need someone who's been through what I'm trying to overcome. And
Exactly.
if men don't show up, we can't lead the next generation, right?
And here's the problem. Not to cut you off. There's a big problem with that because now you have people that are not operating in their gifts
Mm,
because they've been shunned so much that they're taking on any role just to be in a position of power,
yep.
right? So now it's like, okay, I can't operate in my gift as far as being the financial guru of my house because my woman make more money than me. So
Mm,
now let me walk around and poke my chest out a little more. This is not my role. This is not natural for me, but I need to feel like I'm leading in some type of way. Like,
mm,
and in all actuality, yes, men, we are supposed to lead, but you have to lead in like in your calling and your gift. Like, like I may be called to lead, but I might be called to lead the youth group. Like, I may be called to lead, but I may be called to lead the local church. Like, my calling may only be to shepherd 100 people. Like, if I'm a pastor, my calling may not be to even pastor. Like, my calling may be to be the local bodega man. Like, whatever it is, I have to walk in that, and we
yep.
hear things biblically, and y'all know it's gonna go there for a second, but
Go, go.
but when we look at certain things biblically, when we look at Jesus, and he became all things for all men. Like, bro, like I'm not Jesus, so I can't become all things. I can't. I don't have that. I don't have that ability. So we got to stop trying to become everything and just
Mm,
do what we're called to do.
mm,
Even when we look at the man at the temple that was disabled, I'm not going to use biblical words because I don't have time to explain. I don't want to drag it, but he was disabled. And Peter and John saw him, and they did the miracle where they had him stand up and walk. It was interesting because he was asking for money, and I always use this as a reference because he told them, like, I don't have no money, like silver and gold, like I don't have it. But what I do have, like, so you have to have it in order to give it. Like, we can't be out here
mm,
trying to operate in
mm,
things that we don't have. And this is why we're in dysfunctional situations because you operating on E. You pouring out of a cup that you don't have nothing in. And last but not least, you'll know a man by the fruit that he bears. So this is why in women defense, they're saying some of the things that they're saying about us because you saying that you're this, but you ain't got no fruit. There's no fruit there. Like the tree done dried up. Like there's nothing on there. Just twigs. Like, so we gotta operate in our gift, men. Operate in what makes us great. Like I'm not the best man. Like, you get what I'm saying. Like I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not the best father. Um, I'm working as hard as I can to be the best version of a father that I can be,
mm,
because ultimately, if we're
mm,
really being honest, I
mm.
can do all of this, everything that I do for my son, and I'm not going to go down the list of for both of my children. Everything that I do, I can do all of this, and they can grow up one day and just be like, "Yeah, you ain't do nothing for me."
True.
And
True.
that's just the reality of it. But I'm striving to be the best version so that they don't go through that, so that they feel like I've been set up in every way possible. There's no manual to it, but I got to walk in my gift. And as long as I walk in my gift and my calling, like that's how we get there. Like,
Stacy, listen, between the two of y'all, Stacy's in these comments. Stacy's great. But sir, listen, like I told Darren, I'm gonna tell you the same thing. I'm about to cut my camera off and I'm just gonna let you have all of that because sir, sir. Yes. And you know what? The one thing I love about how you can tie in like what we're talking about in Jesus, it's not just because I'm a believer, but it's because Jesus was the example, y'all.
hello.
Like when we trying to operate in this thing called life, and we are often trying to figure out, especially as Black people, we're like, I don't know where the example is. Like and we're constantly looking on the media, like I want to be the next Michelle Obama. I want to be the next Queen Latifah. I want to be the next Barack Obama. I want to be the next. I don't know if anybody's saying they want to be the next Kanye no more, but
Hmm.
whatever, right? And it's like, can we go back further though? Because the way that Jesus did life, okay?
Yeah, yeah, did life. I like how.
Like just the way he did life and the way that he healed just by having simple conversations. And I'm like,
Yo,
listen, I may not be able to do much in this life, right? But if one thing I can do is I'm gonna have a conversation. And I'm
let's
gonna have a
go.
conversation that's gonna break some stigmas.
Push the
Because the problem
envelope.
is we are operating in ignorance way too much. Way too
Hmm.
much. And when it comes to Black fathers, I mean, yes, I grew up in a single parent home and my mother was doing the work. But at the end of the day, I was raised by a village. Okay. So I had uncles who stepped in, I had cousins, male cousins who stepped in. And it's because of the relationships I had around me that I'm able to show up in the spaces that I show up in. And listen, I'm trying to get to these questions. I don't think I've asked you but two questions.
I'm telling you. But you said something so important, so
Mm,
important. And I want to make sure I reiterate this and touch on this again, because again, I don't want any woman that may be a single mother to be discouraged about the fact that I said that. Like women, like you can't be the mother and the father. Like you know what I'm saying? I don't want them to feel discouraged and feel like their child is going to be without,
mhm,
because your child can have a father figure,
mm,
and if not a father figure, a male figure. What my dad learned about manhood, he didn't learn from his dad. Like I said at the very beginning, like he didn't have one. Like for the first half of my life, like up until like my adolescent years, like I saw my dad, but
yeah,
that was it. Like I just saw him, and then some days I didn't see him just because of his schedule. So like by the time I got up, he would be coming in right after me. Then like his schedule, like I would be coming back from after school, he would already be gone. Like so, like even the first half, like I didn't see him
mhm,
like physically or whatever, and he was there, like he was there, but I still had to learn from somebody, like your son. And this is not to exclude daughters, because
mhm.
daughters without a man in the house are like, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this.
If you don't
Uh,
just go out and say it, however, we'll clean it up later. Go ahead.
daughters without a father in the house can potentially be untamed greatness. There's a certain level of
I ain't got my towel, sir.
there's a certain level of guidance
Yeah.
and tamed aggression.
Mm.
Like there's a certain, because all I'm gonna say all women are created, Black women. Y'all strong on a different level,
Yeah.
but having that father, it kind of shows like not now, baby, like this. It also creates like we see so many. I've seen. Let me speak for myself. I've seen so many women thirsty just to be in a room, just to be hugged,
Mm,
just to be
talk.
like having that. It alleviates the possibilities, right? Let's not say it can't happen, but it alleviates the possibility of wanting that attention from someone else, wanting, feeling like, oh, I need this person or not. My
Mm,
dad told me, he said, I'm so hard on you and your brothers because nobody's gonna do nothing for y'all. He said, if we're being completely honest, somebody will take care of your sister. Like she can get married, she can get one of these bum dudes on the street. He'll buy her stuff, he'll get up, this and that and the third. But I don't ever want her to feel like she has to depend on somebody outside. So
mm,
I'm always gonna have her, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like she needs something, I'm right here for it because she's never gonna feel like she needs another man, and she's never gonna get finessed by another man because it's something that she doesn't have, like something that she's lacking. So like having that father in the home is so important for men, but definitely for women. And that role model, if you don't have, just a circle and bring it back full circle, if you don't have a father figure for your son or the father's not present, if you have a brother, any man that you feel like I wouldn't mind if my son came out to be half of what this man is, like
mm,
your pastor, your like somebody, you gotta, if there's any male, like, because we need it. The same way when y'all go through puberty, I could not. I'm happy I don't have a daughter. I couldn't. I don't know how to discuss cramps, and I can tell you what I've heard, but y'all been through it, so it's a different level of understanding. Like, and it's the
yeah.
same thing with men when we're going through different things and different emotions. It's a different level of understanding. So just get that male figure. Don't be afraid of that. Like embrace that. Like yes,
Mm,
your son doesn't have his father present, but embrace the male figures in your life. Have him around them. It's okay for him to be around you all the time, and that's your buddy, and him to be around the women, but put him in a circle. Put him out there with the boys and let them learn. Because ultimately, my mom used to tell us this when it came to getting in trouble. She used to be like, you get in trouble, you go to jail. I can't save you. And it's the same thing with the world. If you
mm,
coddle your child and you don't have him around men, when you get him out there, he's a little more feminine than the other men. You can't save him. You can't
mm,
save him on his job. You can't save him in his marriage. You can't save him, when he's out there. Like now, it's his job to be where he needs to be in the world. So have them around men if you can. You know.
sir, I'm about tired of you. Listen, this is why he's here. Now, I'm not going to say who said this, but he is a friend of the show. He said
Hmm.
one of his prerequisites when it comes to a wife is that she has a father. And I said, why is that?
Ooh.
He was like, he alluded to what you were saying because he was like, these undisciplined females when who have daddy
Mm.
issues, I can't because like women with daddy issues, we and I'm saying we because it is
Mhm.
what it is.
Right. Mhm.
Uh, we try to get that attention because we crave it, right? It's like
Mhm.
I know what it's like to be loved by a female, but I don't know what that looks like from a male. Like, yes, again, I had, my uncles and my cousins and my brother, all of them were great, but it's like, it wasn't enough, like to have that
Yeah.
embrace from a man, not just physical embrace, but to know that like a father creates that buffer or a man
Yes.
creates that buffer, right? Where, we can get kind of crazy and he can teach us how to reel in those emotions because we
Right.
got them, right?
Right.
But it's like, that's so good, sir. You're just speaking some good stuff. So can we talk about what it's like to raise a man? Because, you said if a black father is present, there's certain things that we can probably avoid for the girls. What is it that we're trying to work out or work into our young boys so that they can survive and thrive out here? Because uh, I don't remember what week we said it, but sometimes the goal for a man is when he leaves the house is just to return back home.
Yeah. Mm.
That's it.
Mm.
So how do we create a culture for our sons for the next generation to first of all be hopeful, because there's not a lot of hope, unfortunately, because the world is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we make a successful life for our men, young boys?
Uh, I think it starts one by teaching them not to hate themselves.
Mm,
Um, I know you guys, heard a lot of biblical stuff, but I live in the world too. And I saw an interview that Nipsey Hussle did,
mhm,
and he said people don't understand that when they're, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember what he said down to a T, but he basically said like people don't understand that they get in this car, they have issues with somebody, and um, they're riding around this neighborhood looking for the person, right? And they're riding around this neighborhood, they're looking for this person, and they're saying, "Here you go." Okay, mommy's coming in just a second. Okay, yeah, play with this. So, you're riding around this neighborhood because you have beef with this person, right? You're looking for this person, you want to do something to them,
mhm,
and the entire time you're rolling through this neighborhood, right? You'll see somebody and you're like, nah, that's not him. And when you finally find this person, or when you finally get suspicious of the person, you look for the person that looks the closest to how you look. So you're really looking for yourself. And
mhm,
I've alluded to this many times when I've had conversations with like my friends and stuff like that. And I've had this conversation a bunch of times, especially talking about gentrification. It's like, why is it that we have such a hard time in our neighborhoods, right? Like our older women, our elder statesmen are clutching their purses and they feel uncomfortable, or our kids are in corner stores and they're getting shot up on their way to school, and we feel uncomfortable to walk around our own neighborhoods, but these people gentrify our neighborhoods and they walk through 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning like it's nothing,
mhm,
right? And when something happens, and I'm not to say that it doesn't happen, right? But I can't remember if somebody put in the comments if you've seen it, but I can't remember the last time somebody said a stray bullet hit someone that didn't look like us. And I've been outside, like as people would say, we outside. Like I've been outside 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I see people that don't look like us,
mhm.
just comfortable walking the dogs. But when things like that happen, I've seen people that don't look like us bump into the gangsters,
Mm,
and it's, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. Yeah, whatever, and they say whatever they say, but it's not the same type of aggression as if when they see themselves or
mm,
somebody that looks like them. So I think that would be the first thing, teaching us not to hate ourselves, like
yeah.
not to look at people that look like you and be uncomfortable. Like we should be most comfortable when we're around each other. So I would say that would be one.
Mhm,
Um, Two, uh, teaching us how to deal with emotions. That's something that we've been, that I think now is something that's a thing. Like men have emotions. Like
mhm,
it's a real thing. Like we really have emotions. Now having emotions doesn't mean, man, that you're emotional, but you have to acknowledge the fact that you have them. Like, and we don't only have to have two default emotions, like happy or mad. Because I'm gonna be
right.
honest, like, or not even happy or mad, just content and mad. Like, we don't only have to have
Mhm,
two emotions. And I'm talking about me. I'm talking about Trey. I'm talking about Traquan Newson right now. Like, because I don't have a medium, right? I
mhm,
wasn't taught a medium. Like, so what you see at that specific time is like that's what it is. Like, so if you see
yeah,
me right now, I'm just kind of mellow. If you see me and I'm somewhere speaking, you might see a little bit more, but
mhm,
there's no like in between because I wasn't taught that, right? So now I have to
mhm,
explore those emotions. Like, all right, what does this feel like?
mhm,
Um, I think that's one of the reasons. Like now that I'm really thinking about it, that may be one of the reasons why so many men suffer from depression, because we don't know how to articulate our feelings. This feeling that I'm feeling may not be depression. It may just be a little bit lower than happy. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm depressed, but I've been conditioned to not know how
mhm,
to understand what I'm feeling. So,
yeah.
that one I would say, and then lastly, communication. Communication, and when I say communication, specifically understanding. Um, Men, we're very logical thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
However, we don't always listen.
Mm.
So I'm strategic by nature. You give me a problem, I'm giving you an answer. Like, that's it. And not only am I giving you an answer, I'm confident that my answer is the right answer. So even while you're telling me that, oh yeah, so we could do it, in my mind, I'm like, okay, okay, okay. All right, yeah. So like I said, this we're gonna go ahead and take this down here and do this. Like, so listen for understanding and really listen to the person next to you. And I think if we're able to do that, that's how we'll be able to foster change in our neighborhoods. Like
Mm-hmm.
having us not being aggressive towards each other, listening to understand each other, like when we speak, loving on each other, right? Like, and understanding our emotions. I think that'll take us to a different space. Yeah, you do it. No, your turn.
You know, like I say every week, we can go on and on and
Wait, wait,
on
wait.
and on because there's just so much gems that are being dropped by the men who grace us on this on these lives. Guys, if you have any questions for Traquan, we are starting to wrap up. It's about that time, you know. But
Okay.
I really love what you're saying. You're touching upon a lot, touching upon the
Mhm.
stigmas. You're touching upon the false narratives. You're touching upon the importance of showing up. You're touching upon like what it looks like to show up and the outcomes of what happens when men do not just physically show up, but in action, in word, in
Mhm.
presence, all of that great stuff. I think the last question that I always ask everybody is like, you know, what is your charge for other people? Like
My
if
charge?
you can, yeah, if you can leave this live with your final words, either encouragement to men who are fathers, encouragement to the women who are struggling with maybe baby daddy issues or daddy issues in general. What is your charge? What's your final words you want to leave with the folks on today?
My charge is raise your kids. Raise your kids. Like that's my charge. Raise your kids and um all right, go ahead. Raise your kids. And I mean a lot of different things by that. Right now, iPads are raising our kids, YouTube is raising our kids, TikTok is raising our kids, other people are raising our kids, other kids are raising our kids. Raise your
Mhm.
kids, bro.
Yeah.
To the men specifically, like bro, raise your kids. Like,
Mhm.
matter of fact, not even just to the men, to the parents, raise your kids. Like, I'm talking to me. I got a job just like everybody else. I have aspirations just like everyone else. Like, my dreams aren't bigger than your dreams. Your dreams aren't bigger than my dreams. Like, but raise your kids. Like, take that time out because it's only a few more years before you wake up and you don't know who your kid is. Like
Mm.
when they get bold enough to tell you how they really feel, what they're really into, what they really think about life, and you looking like, I never taught you that. You didn't teach them anything. You didn't teach them anything. You were so burnt out doing whatever you was doing that you pawned them off on the TV, on the iPad, on the program, on the person with the kids down the block on the street, and they learned life from somebody else. So
Yeah.
like we have to raise our kids, and even if we don't have kids, we may have a sibling. Like the same way that we said that other kids need male figures, you may be the male figure, you may be the female figure, right? Like
Hmm.
yeah, like every like we all have a responsibility to someone, even if we're not responsible for someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's raise these kids. The change that we want to see, it has to begin in us, so that when we pass the baton, the world can be what we want it to be. It can be whatever we want it to be, but we just have to do it.
Hmm.
It's nothing to it but to do it. So raise your kids.
Raise your kids. Listen, you
Oh,
know,
and believe on Jesus.
please do, y'all. Life is ghetto out here. If y'all don't know Jesus,
I'm trying
call
to
me.
tell
We
you.
can have a conversation about Jesus because he is a necessity. We talk
Hey,
about like the hierarchy of need, about food, shelter. Jesus need to be in there because this life we cannot do without him.
get
And
him.
as you were talking, I remember I had this conversation with one of my clients, and he was talking about, he was so angry because his father just wasn't around, and he was like out here acting reckless, and then his mother remarried, and even though it took a while, he was like, now I am so much better because my stepfather showed up, and because he kept showing up, and no matter how much I pushed, no matter how hard I tried to push him, like I tried to get rid of this man, but because he kept showing up and he showed me that he loved me and I'm not even his kid, he's like, that changed my world. And so,
Mm,
if we're gonna raise these kids, if we're gonna step in, like I like to say, I'm everyone's black auntie. Okay.
right.
Do
Hello.
like biologically, I got 9 nieces and nephews
Mm-hmm.
across the board. My older brother gave me 5 nieces and nephews. My young brother gave me one. My sister gave me three, and then I got all of these god kids. I like. There's a village, right? And I'm everyone's black auntie. Listen, you will not find a kid that is connected to me that's going to be like, I don't have a positive role model, and no one's trying to. I'm showing up. I'm showing
I'm
up
here
to
for it.
basketball games. I'm showing up to volleyball games. I'm showing up to your spelling bee if you want me to show up. You hear me? So show up, be present. And like Traquan said, don't just physically be in the place. Make your presence known by having the conversation, interact with them, get to know them. Actually, I do have one last question, y'all. I promise you, this is the last one. So, I haven't said my personal experience with my father because this isn't about me, this is about everybody else. But Darren kind of talked about it and alluded to it last week where he didn't have his father. His father passed away when he was younger, but he was trying to leave some words of encouragement for people who have like a disjointed relationship with their father. What is your advice to the people, not just to the fathers, but to the children? How do we rekindle and rebuild trust with our fathers who may or may not have been a consistent figure in our lives?
All right. All right. For all of the um, people who may have developed an inability to be the bigger person,
Mm-hmm.
this one is not going to sound too good for you, but um, you gotta. I think so. For me, right? I'll start. I'll use myself as an example. I actually, I kind of alluded to it a little earlier, but I didn't always have the best relationship with my dad,
Mm-hmm.
right? We didn't always have the best relationship. I didn't see him much. And if I'm being completely honest, I alluded to the money part. Like I knew my dad was the person that paid for stuff, but I also knew that my dad was the enforcer. So I knew, let me act a fool out here in these streets. My mother had a line like, that she still used to this day. Like you better not embarrass me. I guess my mother had issues with being embarrassed. And I was king embarrassed. Like, oh no, I'm finna act a fool and spin on my head in here. Like when I was a kid, I don't know what it was. Like king embarrassment. Like I don't know. I just had a lot of issues as a kid, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
spent a lot of time with my mom. Getting around my dad, I think for me it was taking ownership of the fact that I'm the one that needs something from this, right?
Mm-hmm.
If let's say I have an estranged relationship or I had an estranged relationship with my dad, which I did at some point, I took responsibility at a young age. Now, I didn't think of it like this, right? I don't want to make it seem like I was just this insightful and woke child or teenager or whatever. I didn't think of it like this, but now that I'm older, I can identify that. I took responsibility of the fact that I wanted to have a relationship with my dad. where at the time I didn't feel like he wanted to have a relationship with me.
Mm,
And not because he didn't love me, but just because of his view on parenting, like, and what he felt like he needed to be for me. And my friend was not one of them. So take responsibility for the fact that you're the one that needs it. Like, you're the one that wants it. And he or she might want it too. They just may not know how to show it. But rather than pawning it off on them, take responsibility. Like, I'm the one that wants this, right? And once you're able to accept that, I think the next thing would just be what I did. I found common ground, right? Too many times we try to approach people with uncomfortable conversations, especially if you got a runner, a track star for a parent. Like, he's a runner, he's a track star. If you know your dad is a runner, why would you approach him with this uncomfortable conversation? You might never speak to boy again. Like, old boy might really run for real, because now he know you got the means to find him. Like,
mm-hmm,
so the same way that we connect with people in church, or what they was giving out French fries to get people to get the vaccine, like the way that the way that other people connect or try to connect with people in order to have certain conversations, you might need to
mm,
do that. Like, for me, it was sports with my dad, right? So one, I took responsibility for the fact that I wanted the relationship with him, and two, what do we have in common? Like, I know we like sports. So for the first 2 years that I can actually say that I conversed with my dad, we only talked about sports.
mm.
Like, we only talked about sports, but the sports conversation opened up just us having dialogue, right? Or just us furthering the conversation, being in a comfortable space for us to have conversation, and
Mm,
stuff like that. And then I would just say, lastly, just be open to it being whatever it's going to be. Like,
mm,
you don't know what it's going to be. We would like for it to end, in a certain kind of way where everything works out, and, y'all ride off into the sunset. But you might start to get to know that person and be like, I'm gonna be honest, I really don't like you. Like, um, and that might not be like, we don't ever talk again, but it might not be what you expected it to be. Like, how when you're a child, or you grow up just wanting something, expecting something, and you have this grand, like, great time, or how, like, it's gonna be like in a movie or something like that. And
mhm.
sometimes we have to accept the fact that it's not gonna look like how we want it to look. I heard TD Jake say one time that we think that we serve a God of tables and chairs, when the God that we serve will give you a tree and an axe.
Mm,
Like, you get what I'm saying? So
mm.
it's not always gonna look like how we want it to look, but nonetheless, the job will get done. So one, take responsibility for it that you want it. Two, make the conversation comfortable, and three, accept the fact that it might not look the way you want it to, but got the job done.
I feel exposed. Anyway, you said some really good stuff. I was taking note. I was mentally writing all of that down. Yes, sir. All right. So, Traquan, sir, you'll be back because we do this. This is not our first
We
episode.
here. We here.
We gonna be here. Thank you so much for coming, sharing your expertise. You did amazing, 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 amazing.
Well,
I
thank you
am,
for having
of course, sir. Listen, this your fault. You the reason why. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The Lord had me doing this, but
me.
all of you who joined in, thank you for joining in. Please do share this with anyone who needs to learn more about fatherhood, just to hear the Black man experience. Anyone who just connect to Traquan, he's here. He's on Facebook. Traquan
Right,
Newson, not Trey, but Traquan
right,
Newson.
that's me, Traquan. I just didn't want to confuse y'all, but it's Traquan. Um,
I get
oh,
it.
and anybody that want to teach us something, put it in the comments. We still open books. We still
Heck
learning.
yeah.
So throw
Yeah.
that in the comments too, cause fatherhood hard out here. Y'all see, I'm struggling. He been on my neck all episode. So if y'all got any suggestions, let me know.
Because listen, I'm everyone's Black auntie, but I ain't the mama. Okay. I come in, I do the discipline, I like
And there
yank
you
them by
go.
the ears. There you go. Anyways, you guys, thank you again for chiming in. Next week, we're almost done, y'all. Next week, week 7, I'm bringing in a colleague of mine. His name is Corden James. I call him Mr. 4.1 because apparently this man got 4.1K followers. And I'm like, I'm thankful for the 105 that I got.
Hello.
So I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it. But Corden's going to come next week. We're going to talk about resilience and how to come back from a very horrible experience. He's going to share his story. He shares his story very, very often. But we're going to come back. If you guys need to talk to Traquan, you can find him on Facebook, Traquan Newson. He is also on Instagram. What's your what do they call it? Your tag?
Just underscore Trey with 2 E's.
Your
You can do a better me underscore better we. And kingdom underscore hoops underscore for basketball training, tournaments, and workouts.
right, because he does a little bit of everything. If
I'm
you
trying.
need
I'm
him
out
to
here in the
preach at
streets.
your service, he's in New York.
Yeah,
He's in New
primarily.
York.
I'm out
Y'all
here.
can get him virtually.
Don't make me turn your U service up. I take flight, so don't have me to come if you don't want me to turn it up. But I'm gonna turn up in the name of Jesus.
In the name of the Lord, hallelujah. Anyways, you guys, I hope you have a great night. Traquan, you have a blessed night. I hope to see everyone back here next week, January 17th at 7:30 p.m. as we talk to Corden about resilience and the comeback kid. Y'all be blessed. See you later. Have a good one. Peace.